Hey everybody, and welcome back to our show where we get real insights on all things concerning the world of startups and entrepreneurship. I'm your host Bhavya Gupta. Make sure you all follow and review our podcast on Spotify and YouTube, 5 stars only. And we are in conversation with Radhika Bajoria. As you all know, she is one of the youngest top 20 LinkedIn voices. And she has her own podcast, Wiping Out the Norm, by the way, so check that out. And she has her own startup, Radically Yours. So first things first, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Quick introduction.
Yeah, I mean, you've covered most of it, but you should check it out, the show Women in Private Equity and Enterprise that I run, because I cover journeys of different women leaders as to how they started right from the age that you guys are in, and now how did they reach to the level that they are, what it really takes. Because why do we only see a few handful CEO women, in fact, to the top? Why is there not people like you and I who can also aspire to be there? Why don't we see hundreds of them? So this is the question that I address with these global leaders in my podcast, and it'll be very helpful for you guys also because they share their insights on the actual business world and the market world. And they tell me that degrees only take you 10% ahead in your career. 90% of it is networking, building relationships, and actually performing on the job. So you'll understand that even if you score less here, it's just fine. I hope not, you don't have any faculty sitting here. They'll be like, then that's fine, I can get real with these students. But yeah, marks, it's absolutely fine if you score less. But if you just perform too well in your internships and organization, I think you will really make a mark, an indelible mark, which will be remembered forever in your career. So I think that I do in my podcast, and with Radically Yours, we're connecting early stage founders with investors, because it's so difficult to raise funds, these days, especially in the early stages, people don't know where to go. And we're trying to bring the global flavor into our fundraising environment by also getting women investors from abroad to invest into Indian startups. So now I'll be going to London in the next month, so you will see some foreign faces on my show, and they will give a different perspective as to how the world looks, because same subject, different perspectives, it just gives you a good flavor, of how everyone is thinking about it. So in actuaries also, I think you all should speak to people not just from India but also abroad into this subject as to how they are studying, what they're doing, and you'll gain so much more than what just your textbook or your peer group offers you. So that's what we are on to.
Yo, that's amazing. We didn't know you were going to London.
Yeah, I didn't also know it until last week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So all set for London?
Yeah, trying to be.
It's gonna be a journey.
Yeah.
So tell us starting, say, let's start from the very beginning. How did you start out? We know that you started out from a little bit ESL also helped you. So let's start from the very beginning, like when you were in your first year of college.
Yeah, you're trying to plug in ESL ka, advertisement because you're from there.
Sometimes you have to do.
Yeah, but my journey also started from ESL. सबको mandatory होता है sponsorship का profile बनाने के लिए. How do you otherwise reach out to the industry folks? So I created my LinkedIn profile there, and as luck would have it, my profile was something that people put on Instagram, very glitzy and glamoury, and I was like, what is this platform? I mean, I don't think so I'm gonna get anything out of it. So I just kept it, made it, and it was there as it is for 6 months. I didn't want to even look at the platform. I thought it was very boring, and I have never been a writer in my life, so writing was the last thing that I could think of, even in my dreams. Yeah, so it never was the plan. I made it because I had to do some reach outs. It's maybe hardly any replies I got. So it was a very failed task to begin with, because y'all also must be doing a lot of activity on LinkedIn, और तुमको कुछ reply नहीं आता होगा तो तुम सोचते होंगे छोड़ो क्या ही करना है. तो ऐसी बात नहीं है. Even I had to go through it. Everyone has to. And I just thought after 6 months this reality hits in na, whenever these third year students here will relate to it, when you're just reaching your near end of graduation and you're about to get into the real corporate world, that's when you think shit कि कुछ किया ही नहीं है, पढ़ाई करके क्या उखाड़ लिया है, कुछ और करना चाहिए. And this hit it to me when I attended a boot camp at ISME here in Bombay. I don't know how many of you all know about that institute. And there I met many young entrepreneurs, 15, 16 years of age, and they were so active on LinkedIn. I'm like, shit, what is happening to me? I'm 19, 20, and I don't even have a good profile. Forget about profile, business idea bhi nahi hai mere paas, and these people people are doing so much in their lives. And while going back, I had this conversation with my friend Ronnie Saha. He's also another active person on LinkedIn. I really derived initial insights from him because he used to write at that point in time. And I asked him कि क्या है ये platform, मुझे पूरा समझाओ, because the car ride was anyways 1 hour. I'm like बोर होने से तो अच्छा है कुछ knowledge ज्ञान ही ले लूँ मैं. तो फिर मैंने उससे पूछा, and then he's like nothing, you just have to get started with whatever you like. And सबको पता है कि तुमको कुछ आता नहीं है तो philosophy तो सबको ही आती है, सब लोग अपना अपना ज्ञान देते हैं. तो that's what I started with. And my first post just got 3 likes. And I was so disheartened. I was like, I put my heart and soul into it. I was sitting into the library of my college where people were studying for the CA or CFA. And I put in 3 hours to write that 200 word का post. I'm like कि क्या है, मैं तो करूँगी नहीं अभी. I'm like इससे अच्छा कहीं और time invest करती हूँ मैं. But then I thought कि it's always the power of compounding that helps you and the consistency. And I was very thankful to be surrounded with smart people who could see potential in me that I couldn't see it. You know, I call them my mentors and friends today as well. And they told me that you can be very good writer because the way I wrote that philosophical post, it was different from their perspective. And they thought that why don't you study the platform very well and see what works for you, what doesn't. And when you decide that, then take a next step and see what is the audience liking, because it's anyways a social media platform. You can't just, it's not your personal journal कि तुमको जो लिखना है तुम वो लिखोगे. You have to also see what people are reacting towards. And I tried so many different topics, like I wrote on different brand stories, current affairs, people's journey, infographics, and in that I realized that okay, these 2-3 things are working out for me. This is what people are liking. And it was during the lockdown when most of the people were on their phones that they checked out my posts and saw that I am bringing some value to them. And I think the different perspective that I got in was that I would simplify everything, because I was not a finance student like you guys are. I'm sure that you guys know much more. But how do you make sure that you take a concept and make it understandable to a 5-year-old kid? You know, if you take in actuaries also some concept and simplify it with a market example that is relatable to a lot of people, I think that is what catches a lot of eyeballs. And that's what happened with me, because I would read newspapers and I wouldn't understand anything. So I would ask my friends कि इसका मतलब क्या है, and मैं खुद simplify करके खुद से समझती थी and लिख भी लेती थी, because I was like ठीक है अभी इतना time डाला ही है तो उसका कुछ output भी निकाले. So that's how it all happened. And I think content really speaks volumes. You can't imagine ki where will content take you, but it takes you to places. Some people it doesn't work out and it's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, writing is a very individualistic journey. You know, you don't really have to bother about eyeballs so much. It will come if you're liking it. And I think it's very important to write on topics that you love it, not what others are telling you that ये trending है तो ये लिखो. Because if you do that, you'll only write for 1 or 2 weeks. उसके बाद खत्म हो जाएगा interest. So choose something that you love, and that will only come through experimentation. So the idea is to get started without the concept कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, you know, because that is something that stops all of us in most of the endeavors that we do. So yeah, that is how it started, and here we are today. I mean, I remember my recent post just got 50 likes. Can you imagine? And anyone would be like, क्या उखाड़ लिया 2 lakh followers करके, right? But I was like, it's fine. I wrote it for myself, and it gave me happiness, and that's what matters, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of uneasiness or depression, you know, and anxiety. Ki shit, why am I not getting people's attention after reaching here also? But I think it's important to let go of all of that and just believe in what you do, and think that what you're doing is absolutely right and absolutely perfect. Only then will you get ahead into your journey. So it's been 5 years and I still write. So that's the secret to success, and that's the secret sauce that keeps me going. Otherwise, I would have stopped that day itself when my post got 3 likes. So yeah, that is how it is.
Yeah, but you spoke about being consistent and all that, but wouldn't it get overwhelming? So how would one cope up with that? Because being consistent and all that, and you just said some people receive negative feedback, some people don't receive any feedback, and likes nahi aa rahe. So how do you stay consistent after being overwhelmed with all of this?
Yeah, no, it's actually very difficult, and there's a saying called writer's block. You really don't know what to write on today, and I have been having that since the past 2 weeks, because I'm working on an event By the way, women here, we are organizing an event on July 20th, next Thursday, at the Quorum in Lower Parel. So it's with the speakers that I hosted on the podcast show. They will be coming and speaking on different topics. So it's a women-only event. Sorry to the guys here. we'll do an event very soon with all of y'all. But yeah, that is about it. I'll send the invitation to you. You can circulate it to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that is what I was working on, and 2 weeks I didn't write anything. And I was so upset, what is happening to me, why can't I write it? But it's a feeling that you have to go through, right? No
Yeah.
pain, no glory.
Yeah.
That is how it is, and if you have to fight against it, you do it. And I was really feeling bad that why can't I find any topic to write on? And I literally had to go in my picture gallery to find out ki kiske saath mere pictures hai so that I can write their story. And then I found one with Guneet Monga, who won an Oscar recently, and then I penned down a story. But that again took me 3 hours, and it barely got 300 likes. I imagined it to get 3,000 likes. Sometimes the calculation mismatch also happens, but it's fine. I mean, at the end, people who had to see this saw it. If they didn't, it's fine. It's their loss. That's what you think, and go ahead.
That's amazing. I like that thinking.
Yeah, I mean, how can you survive in social media otherwise? It's such a
Yeah.
competitive environment. Every day you will be bogged down by negativity, criticism, feedbacks. How will it work? You just have to think about yourself at the end of the day. And if it requires you to be selfish, then you be. I mean, if you're not harming anyone, it's fine, right? But I also take negative criticism in a very good way. A lot of people tell me that you have this spelling error, which is very basic in my post, and I'm like, thanks so much, yaar. तुम बताते नहीं तो कैसे होता? So I just make them my friends, and I'm like, okay, fine. I really love that you are a part of my journey. You are giving me such precious time of yours also to write whatever shit you want to. It's fine. I mean, at least it's getting noticed. So that's how I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to just do what you love. Anyway, in the end, you will shine through. Whatever hardships you see now, you will shine
Yeah,
through.
if not in this life, next life definitely, because of the karma you've done here.
I mean, in the end, ज्ञान को सभी जानते हैं.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, like all of this consistency and all. I mean, a lot of research must go into
Yeah.
this. And as you know, we're all college students. And TY is also doing their internships besides this. And we are also in some committee or other. So there's just a lot we are doing all the time.
Yeah.
How do you think one can manage their time? Like to do something they love besides all of this. I mean, this is something some people are doing it, parents ने बोला है. Some people are doing it क्योंकि degree चाहिए. But how do we manage that?
Yeah, a lot of books have been written on it, and yet are being written on it because people don't know how to do it. Because you cannot teach someone how to manage time. It comes through yourself, and everyone's time is individualistic to themselves. Like I can't tell you कि ऐसे time manage करोगे तो तुम्हारा हो जाएगा. I mean, your schedule will be very different from other schedule of other people. So I don't think so. There's a particular formula to it, but there's a pattern that can be followed. So what I do is that I write about my tasks that I need to be done the other day before I go to sleep, so that when I wake up in the morning fresh, I know that okay, these are the things I want to achieve. And this happens with my team members also. They get confused and juggled in कि कौन सा पहले करना है, क्या करना है, and then the whole day goes and nothing gets done, you know. So I think it's very important to prioritize your day. Like for example, I start with my day with the most important calls that I have to do, so that I can put my brain into it, be productive, and take them on. And after that, I manage the post-lunch working day with the strategic things that I want to build for my organization and my team members. And the later half of the day, I put it for the admin work, which is the operational work, which I do on a day-to-day basis, including my LinkedIn post. So I make it at the end of the day. And sometimes when I don't get the time to do this, I'm like, okay, it's fine. I don't put a lot of pressure on myself also. That's one thing that a lot of people suffer from. You really overpromise yourself with so many things that you want to achieve, that you don't end up achieving even one of them. So I think it's important to know that what you can do actually in real time and life to get to it. And I think that's how I manage it. I'm not very good at it still, so not the best person to give you any advice on it. But yeah, very soon I'll get to it, as long as I know that I'm following the process. Because 90% of us are output oriented. We don't think about the present, we think about the future outcomes, and we're living in there. हम भूल जाते हैं कि हमारा time अभी जो हमारे पास उसमें करना है काम, बाकी के आगे की नहीं सोचनी है. And I think when you start doing that and reflecting on what you have right now, like a lot of people, I don't know how many of them are attentive, but if they are, they're living in the present, and that's very helpful for them.
Yeah.
So I think that is the mantra to manage time, by living in the present and not thinking about a lot in the future कि अच्छा मैं अभी ये पढ़ रही हूँ तो मेरा जॉब यहाँ पे हो सकता है, या ऐसा नहीं, जो पढ़ रहे हो वो ही पढ़ो क्योंकि उसी से आगे काम आएगा जॉब में जो भी करोगे.
तो लाइक मार्क्स पे ध्यान मत दो.
Yeah, that's the takeaway you want to take.
नहीं, I mean जो काम कर रहे हो उसको ढंग से कर लो बस.
Yeah, I mean if you worry about marks कि इतना पढ़ के इतना आएगा, then of course there needs to be वो expectation mismatch तो होता ही है, तो better not to expect, because expectations lead to disappointments, and disappointment is not a good disease to have.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very true. So I mean, okay, let's keep this. We've discussed a lot about LinkedIn now. Let's talk about your startup, Radically Yours. So we know the startup, what startup is about. Like it's about connecting investors with startups. So what challenges did you face while in the initial stages of your startup? If you could give an insight on that.
So I think being an entrepreneur firstly requires you to have a thick skin. कि कहीं पे भी जाओगे जूते पड़ेंगे. You won't get bouquets or flowers and welcome notes. So I went to a venture capitalist office and I was pitching this idea to him. He said that you do realize, right, that you're in a venture capitalist office, so you need to tell me what's your revenue model. They just want to hear money from you and how will you make money. They don't want to hear your ideas because they are dime and dozen. They hear so many of them. And then I was like, okay. I was taken aback. I'm like, ऐसे कैसे बात कर सकते हैं यार? थोड़ा तो सुन लो. So I'm like, ठीक है. उसकी मर्जी, उसको जो बात करनी है. There are so many others. Then I went to other people. They were so friendly, They told me that it's fine if you don't have any revenue model right now. You will have it. First, make a brand of yourself, of your organization, and money will flow in. So there are those set of people also. There are good, bad, ugly, everyone in the world. So I think it's important to go have some, slaps also from the people, and go and have some good recommendations also to have a balanced life, because if you have everything on your plate, you don't respect it. Firstly, you take it for granted, and then if you have all rejections also, you're just demotivated in life. सब कुछ खत्म हो गया ऐसा लगता है. So it's good to keep meeting people because they advise you what to do and what not. So yeah, those are some of the instances that I faced initially while building up, and I think handling a team is so difficult, I tell you, especially when you are young and you have a young team members. It's so difficult because you have to firstly make them believe fully into the vision that you have, and after that make sure that they're working towards that vision and are not carried away by all the glamour that is shown on TV in Shark Tank or on YouTube in different podcasts. So I want people who are very strong-minded, focused, have a vision, can carry that. And being an entrepreneur, having a team also requires to work with other team of entrepreneurs. I mean, your team members should be entrepreneurial themselves. Because if they are someone who wants to just be on the desk and do a 9 to 5, I don't think so they can make a cut into the world of entrepreneurship. So I don't know how you guys are. I'm sure y'all are very hardworking. 14-15 hours to काम करते ही रहेंगे internship में, because it's such a tough job. So I think you guys are very entrepreneurial, who are giving their heart and soul into studying a subject like this, and then working alongside and trying to learn on the ground. So yeah, those are the quality of people that we also look for, and it's so difficult to find out because again, you are people studying finance, so you would want that kind of a job. You wouldn't want to work with a startup who's just building up something afresh. In exceptional cases, of course, there are, but not in the normative fashion. So yeah, finding the team members was very, very difficult. Although I have a good profile on LinkedIn, but yeah, I must tell you that people haven't responded to me. And that happens a lot. Even for the podcast that I do, people don't. But the beauty of it is that they do reply to me after 2 months or 2 years when they see me and my team succeed and achieve different milestones. So that's the beauty, world recognizes you when you recognize yourself and keep doing whatever you do, irrespective of what others say. So I've gotten messages that when I was in college at your age, I used to apply for internships and people would just reject me. And the same people write to me today, right, that thank God we didn't hire you because how would you do this stuff otherwise? So those are the kind of messages that I get, you know. So there is a saying by Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Amitabh's father. He says that जब मन का हो तो अच्छा और जब मन का ना हो तो और अच्छा. So I think I keep following that and it has worked very well for me, thankfully, so far.
This generally motivates me a lot because we receive so much rejection during the internship period now, and I think SYs will have to receive the rejection now.
Rejection is a part of life. I mean, more than meeting with your family members, you will meet with rejection. So that's the frequency at which it happens. So you should never think that कि होगा ही नहीं. You should always think कि जब भी लिखते हो तभी सोचना कि रिजेक्शन आने ही वाला है. So that you are like ठीक है ये तो सोचा ही था और हो गया क्या बड़ी बात है इसमें. And then you move on. You know, moving on is the biggest part which people suffer from, both in relationships and in their professional life. So I think that's the skill to build upon firstly.
Yeah, I mean true. So like this radically yours that you're talking about. So you connect like global investors to startups.
Yeah.
So there must be a lot of cultural differences that you must face.
Correct.
So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's like I'm embracing that because it's so good. Like I spoke to a lady in Palestine. वहाँ पे तो कितने wars वो सब चलते हैं, and she's like, people are not supportive only of the entrepreneurs, but the good part is that for every tech startup, the world is open for you. So even if people are not supporting in that area, they have people from US, Israel, UK coming in and supporting their startups, and that women is leading that charge for the founders there. So I observed that, you know, I thought that India में हमको problem है. When we see the world, such small places, they are suffering such problem. In Nigeria, for example, poverty is just one of the things they suffer from. But also these founders, they have such good ideas, but they are not able to take it ahead because they don't get support from anyone. People think that bullshit they're doing, and there's still a stigma in the market that okay, if you're not doing a job, you're just useless unless you achieve something. I was hearing Aman Gupta of Boat telling in a podcast कि relatives would just not meet him and would take him lightly when he started Boat because he was a CA and he was doing good in his job. And when he started Boat, people would take him very lightly. You know, they wouldn't respect him and take seriously. And when he came on Shark Tank, he said that every relative of his was messaging कि बेटा कैसे हो? And he's like, ये कौन है ये? मैं तो जानता भी नहीं हूँ इसको. And इतने लोग बोल के आ रहे कि अरे हम तो जानते थे आपको, हम यहाँ मिले थे, वहाँ मिले थे. So I think when you are successful, the world comes to you. But until then, you are by yourself. You have to accept that you will be lonely and there will be no one to get you ahead, hold your hand and you know walk you down the path. And we are you know really happy people that we get support of faculty members, to our teachers, our mentors during this age. But after that, when you're graduated, the world is such big place and you feel like you're just by yourself. You have to figure it out, and those who figure it out by hustling, by talking to people, by just being very fearless, I think those are the ones who make it. And that's the quality that's required for people to become leaders and successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole women initiative that you have. So, I mean, I know like women, this is very much, you know, focused on women and all that. But I think a lot of people just don't know, like, why women, just women.
Yeah, I'll tell you that because when we started Radically Yours, we were connecting both male and female founders to investors. And female founders, even though their idea was good, they were making more revenues, they had the path to profitability. Investors were like, we don't want to invest into them. I think this male founder is much better. And the reason was the female founder wasn't able to project revenues for 10 years and be very ambitious in her pitch. She was very conservative and she was aware of all the risks. And that was also the reason why she was making profits and the other guy was burning cash and yet was able to tell कि हम लोग 10 साल में ये कर लेंगे. And investors are now realizing that what they thought is wrong. And that's why you see the funding environment now has dried up a lot. In 2021, you saw capital going to every second startup on the street. And today it's so selective. Like in 2023, we haven't seen a unicorn till now. Just the news came out that Zepto might be the first one for this year, you know, as a unicorn. And I think investor mind shift is happening and mindset is changing. So I think the capital allocation will now be to profitable startups and women will be funded more. But I think women, they just lack professional network and they've said it themselves that we don't know whom to connect with, especially at early stages. Of course, by late stage, you are all groomed and you know what to do, what not to do. but at early stages they really don't have the path, and we thought why not help them. So we're also helping male founders, but through our initiative we're focusing more on female funds and female founders so that they can connect with each other, take their guidance, take funding, and continue their journey without having this doubt in their mind that okay, I don't have enough connects. So we want to wipe that norm out, and that's why the show is called Wiping Out the Norm.
Yeah. And it's so good to see that someone is taking initiative in this thing, women in private equity especially.
Yeah.
No, because it's so rare to see all of this happening. Like like you just said, 2021 से 2023 तक अब investors का mind shift हो रहा है. It is so important for the startup ecosystem to think about startups. Like पहले क्योंकि नहीं होता था ये. And we've known that, and I feel like a lot of people are very reluctant to go into the whole startup world because of this only.
Yeah. Like last week I was talking to Ghazal Lalak from Mamaearth, and she told me that when she would go to pitch, she would actually fly down, leaving everything behind from Delhi to Bangalore or Bombay, and people wouldn't show up for meetings only. They would set it up and they wouldn't come at all. They're like, sorry, got an urgent commitment and forgot to inform you. And she would be like, shit, I traveled so much. And it was at early stages when she didn't even have funds. She was doing it by all herself. And she told me that thankfully it's changing now because people know the value that startups generate. Like today morning only I read that Flipkart has generated wealth of around $700 million for their employees. So that's going to be distributed. So that's the power of startups, they're creating wealth left, right and center, but if you do it the right way, that's very important. So yeah, she told me that it's changed now, and people, if you knock at their door being a startup founder, they will welcome you. They will be open to hear your ideas because you never know where will you reach. So पहले ये नहीं था because people would think कि बकवास है, startup कौन करता है, क्या idea है ये, but now it's changing thankfully. But there have been instances and we don't know about that because the news only gives us good success stories and all brouhaha about the market कि okay इतना अच्छा हो गया, ये unicorn बन गया, इसको ये funding मिल गई. But at the backside there are so many things that has happened with such successful leaders also, and that's also one of the reasons why I've launched this show, to cover more of challenging stories rather than just the success stories that people know of. Because unless you know the reality, you'll be like मैं भी करता हूँ, and then it's so bad to get hit by the reality when you go into it and you learn from it. It's better to learn from others' mistake than by committing your own thing and getting into a blunder and then learning from it. So yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I see all of this that you're telling me, it's like people's mindset is very, just goes on one track. पहले लोग recognize नहीं करते तो सबको jobless लग रहा था. Now that people are recognizing it, it's become a trend. They just don't see how, like you said, जूते पड़ेंगे. They don't see that side of it. Now they are thinking कि unicorn बन जाएंगे, कल ही startup खोल के.
Yeah.
So for this segment, we prepared a list of statements. These are myth or not. The segment is called myth or not.
Did I just do telepathy in the beginning when I came? कि myth वाला होने वाला है. Oh my god.
You generally did. I was thinking इनको So let's get to that, shall we? So I'll tell you a statement basically, and you will you just tell me if it's a myth or not. Like burst the myth and tell us like why. Okay. So first one is posting frequently on LinkedIn will lead to spamming and decreased engagement.
Yeah, it's a myth, and I used to work at a law firm, and my boss told me that there's nothing called as a spam. Send as many emails as you want, as many follow-ups. It's up to people whether to reply or not, but it's your job to get it 100% right so that you're not left with the regret. कि चलो थोड़ा ये और कर लिया होता तो इससे और मिल जाता. So I don't think so. Frequency, तुमको जितना करना है करो यार. It's your profile. You've been given the freedom. India is a democratic country. You have the freedom of speech. So you do whatever you want to, yeah. And Salman Khan says this in Big Boss. I don't know how many of y'all see it, but in the end he's like, do whatever you want to do, man. And then he ends the show with that. So I think it's a very big myth, and it's up to you how much to post. But to get consistent on LinkedIn and build a profile, I think twice a week is a good thing to start with.
And I saw it on your LinkedIn profile. Screw it, let's do it.
Oh yeah. My God, so many people just notice that इतना बड़ा मैंने लिखा है वो कोई नहीं पढ़ेगा. बस यही पढ़ेंगे सब लोग and बोलेंगे ये लिखा था.
Catchy line.
Okay, I need to add more catchy lines there.
You've got to feedback now. Okay, the second one we have is LinkedIn is only useful for job seekers and professionals in the traditional industry.
No, I was not seeking any job, neither did I want any help. I just made a profile because I loved writing. And for those who are content creators, you can see how much of a jump are content creators getting. You know, they're paid more than the CEOs of some companies today. And being a content creator is very rewarding unless you feel like it's not by yourself. So I think it's good to create content and just be on the platform without seeking for it anything, you know. And as the saying is, if you chase money, it goes more away. So if you chase anything just very randomly and constantly, it just doesn't come to you. So it's better to just keep doing whatever you're doing and it will come by itself. So yeah, there are so many ways to just be on LinkedIn, to connect with people, to make friends. It's better to be on LinkedIn than on Bumble, huh? So there's this Bumble business also apparently, which is shit. So it's better to be on LinkedIn and connect with people there to make good friendships in a professional network. So yeah, that's also another use case.
I mean, first year students should know. When I came यहाँ पे ना college में first year में, I saw so many people on Bumble and Mumbai.
Don't tell me you saw some of them also.
Let's not reveal that. Okay, the next one we have is LinkedIn is a platform only for networking and doesn't contribute to personal or professional growth.
No, of course it does contribute to personal growth. I don't know. Who are these people, by the way, who's saying this? I would really want to meet them.
Yeah, these are actually IIT students who've listed these numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Then you really need to buzz this myth fully. But I think it's very much helpful for me in my personal journey. I had nothing. I was just a college student when I was being invited to different places. And now when I go to IIMs to speak, also people are much more elder to me. And I didn't have a brand radically, or I was working at a law firm back then. Yet people invited me for the content I created. So of course it was definitely not for some professional purpose, but for the personal journey that I've had. And today you also invited me for that, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people are more connected to personal stories than your professional brands that you're working with. Although it might look very good on LinkedIn that y'all are working at EY, Deloitte, Reliance, but until and unless you build your own name, I don't think so the world recognizes you the way it should. So that's why today Alia Bhatt is more recognized than a brand Edamame, and Katrina Kaif is more recognized other than a brand KY Beauty. I think brands can be built when a personal brand is built. So I think if you have that focus of building your own personal brand, then personal journey is very important. For some people, having a really good job is very important. So for them, of course, the professional journey will matter more on LinkedIn. So it's very subjective. But for me, what has worked is building a personal brand and getting perks out of it, you know, as a creator on the platform.
Yeah. So like you said, you know, you should have your own story too.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how shall we, like, you know, separate professional and personal stories? How personal can you get on LinkedIn?
No, I mean, professional stories are your stories, right? So it's anyways personal only. Any story that you put is personal. So that's why we say that storytelling is more important on the platform rather than just giving news about what's happening in the market. Of course, that is also important, but that will only take you to an X level of place. It won't give you a big jump that you expect. Like Aman Gupta also today, he wasn't very famous because he built boat. He became famous because of his personality that he showed on Shark Tank, you know. So LinkedIn is also a platform like Shark Tank. For some people, you get famous and you get known through so many people. And it's not necessarily that billions of people should know you. At least even if millions or lakhs or thousands of people know you, at least that should be good. So set smaller milestones for yourself and you will eventually get there. But I really believe that personal brand is very important, and anything that is associated with you is anyways personal. Your job is personal to you. So even if you write about that, it's anyways personal.
So there is no line that we should draw as such.
You should never draw any line in any part of life. Why to divide things when you have it all together for yourself? You know, God has given you so much. Why are we just dividing opportunities? It's just take it as it comes. Some people just think, shit, should I take this opportunity or no? If a boss is sending you to a nice place to do a meeting, you'll be like, am I good enough? Can I do this? Can I do? Just leave that job to your boss. Now he's thought about it. If he thinks you're good, you're good. And even if you're not, you'll learn from it and go there. So I mean, just take the opportunities as it comes. Some people are like, "Ye mujhe opportunity kyun mil rahi hai? Am I even worthy of it?" I'm like, why are you thinking about it? Just take it and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, screw it, let's do it.
Correct. It's becoming your mantra now. You put it on your LinkedIn.
It is my mantra. Since I've seen your profile now, it genuinely is. And I think even before that, it has been.
Yeah.
I just didn't put it into words as of yet. Okay, the next one we have is Adding keywords and buzzwords to your LinkedIn profile will automatically improve your visibility and reach.
It only works when there is some trending topic, like this moon launch happened recently. So if you write a post on that and use certain keywords, then it will be picked up by different people, because LinkedIn also has a platform called LinkedIn News, where it sees which posts have been written very well on the specific news topic, and it features yourself there. So I think I initially used to get featured a lot, so I think that really helped me also get more reach and views. But yeah, it only works for trending topics, not for generic topics that you're writing on, because it's anyways very unique to you. So you have to make sure that you write it in a way that it gets views. Because using keywords, I don't think so it can get you anywhere. It's not Google, it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So SEO ka use karke, what will you do there?
Okay, works, yeah, definitely. Okay, the next one we have is you don't have to make a profit as long as you are growing.
I mean, profit is a sign of growth as well. For some people, it depends on what's your definition of growth, and that's why having very good values and fundamentals in place when you start is very important. Investors today just say that your profit is your growth. We don't care about the revenues you're making. At least in the later stage, people say so. In early stage, of course, profit is not expected as much if it's a tech business. If it's other business, which is a service provider business, profit is really expected because the margins are high. Like for example, in your institute, people will be deriving, salaries, operational cost of this will be going, but you get revenues from the fees you guys pay.
Yeah.
So I think the margin is very good in this kind of a business which is into education line. So there, if you are invested, then profit will be looked at. So it's very subjective, but I think in the longer term, if you tell me 10 to 15 years, of course, profit is a sign of growth. If you don't have, people won't consider you to have grown very successfully, and you will also be left with nothing. Yeah, I mean, what is the use of just showing numbers on the books? You need to have numbers in a bank account, na, to be successful, and that will only come through profits.
So not a
Yeah, of course
not a Okay. The next one we have is startups need to have a grand revolutionary story to attract investors and customers.
Oh no! How many of y'all know about Off Business? It's a unicorn. I'm sure nobody knows.
No, I don't think anybody knows.
But you should read about it. And Ashish Mohapatra is the founder. He told it in an interview that unsexy businesses with large profit pools, those are the ones who really make a mark. And some people who are just sugar cosmetics, what did they do? They're just selling lipsticks, kajal, eye makeup, what not. They're just selling makeup. Unme kya alag kiya hai? But still today where they are, it's more than a 500 crore revenue brand. And I think those, if you see most of the brands that we use today, the startup brands, they're just nothing. They're just more innovative in the way they used to be. They're not revolutionary. Okay, you're launching something into the space. Not everyone has to be Elon Musk, by the way, to become the richest or successful. You can just use some daily objects also and just tweak it a little bit. Do ordinary things extraordinarily to get good results and good businesses out of it. And I think you will get the answer to this by just observing brands around you. How many innovative products do you see performing well in the market? As consumers, we are habituated to using a certain product. And if you introduce us to something new, you wouldn't want it to use for longer term. Of course, you'll just see it for once or twice. You'll be like, okay, it's good. And you will move on to your earlier habit that you used to use. So you have to understand the consumer mindset and go about it. These revolutionary products only work in cases where you have to just go beyond the consumer. Consumer is not in your focus. Like for example, if you're there is this startup, I'm forgetting the name. Agnikul is the startup's name. They are now partnering with ISRO to launch satellites into the space. So consumers are in their category to look at. It's the space. So there they can do innovation because there they can do as many things as they want. And Agnikul is doing really well, by the way. You should check it out. So is Pixel. These are all the startups into the space tech space. So I think those are the categories where innovation is required. So it's up to you where to step into and then think about making it a revolutionary business or no.
Yeah, and then two like very common examples of the customer base startups, or you could say businesses are basically Colgate, iPhone. Like if people get into that, they just don't stop. They use that only.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's.
But there's this phone called Nothing. They just launched their 2.0 version last week. And they're doing really great job. You should also watch that interview of the founder. He's known as the Steve Jobs of Android phone market. And he really speaks very well about how he built a brand of a commoditized product like a phone and how he is selling it throughout the world with such high volumes. So it's a story to learn from that, how do you really revolutionize and disrupt the existing phone market where you are. So you learn from stories. You just borrow information and you do it. It's a myth again that you have to create an information of your own to be very good enough and to be known. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता. We all copy paste information from different sources and that's what makes us and makes our thought process. So that's again a myth to burst, that ऐसा कुछ नहीं, that you need to be original to do something great.
You can, मतलब अपने हिसाब से.
You can do small things also in a great way.
Nothing was actually pretty trending in college. F5s were talking about it a lot recently.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, only F5, मतलब SY and TY का हो गया.
हाँ, SY and TY
हो गया जो लोग.
Okay, the next one we have is a startup story should primarily focus on the product or technology, not on the founder or the team behind it.
No, I think either of the two doesn't work. You need to focus on the market that you're tapping onto. And this was the question I asked an investor, by the way, in my podcast show, that what would you support more, a great idea, a great founder, or a great market? He said a great market, because founder comes secondary after that. What will you do of a great founder with a great idea if the market is only not accepting of your idea and doesn't want to pay a price for it? So I think when the market is right, then you look at the founder, that how will this founder disrupt this space particularly, and then you look at how the idea can be shaped through. Because ideas, like I told you, are many, and there are many people who can polish your idea, but how do you execute? That's the key, and execution lies in the hands of founder. So I think that's the chronology that you need to follow. You need to really see first that will anyone look at your product, forget about buying, will the awareness even be there? And once you know the idea, the go-to-market strategy to it, then you can look at how the founder can really build it big.
So like we should basically, when it comes to ranking your priorities when starting a startup, market research would be like the first.
Some people think this is my pain point, so I'll launch a startup out of it, and we know they haven't been successful. You need to know the pain point of lakhs of people, and that's why research survey people do for 1-2 years before launching their startup, because that's when they know कि जो मैं सोच रहा हूँ वो असली है भी कि नहीं. Because half of the time, let me tell you, we as humans live in an illusionary world that doesn't even exist 90% of the time. In 10% we are in reality. So that reality check जिसको बोलते हैं, that only happens when you talk to people and learn about their pain points. I spoke to the founder of Baby Chakra, Naya. She's now heading the Good Glam Group, which is a unicorn, and she told me she spoke to 600 mothers before actually launching a startup in the parenting brand. And she said that I thought it was a pain point, but it got validated plus polished. My idea was just to provide a services platform as an aggregator to all the parents who would want their kids to go to maybe garden, to schools, to different activities. But they told me that why don't you launch a product also, because this way you'll build a community, and if you have a loyal community, you can sell any product to them. And that's how she got that idea. So I think your customer is the king, as they say. They give you everything. You just have to create a playground for them to come in.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true that you're saying now. I think a lot of people just don't know that this is a myth, the whole thing.
It's very sad that they think about this. You need to have more sessions for your people here who have given this question specifically.
I mean, these are all just very new to startup, the whole world, and it's a trend now. So they wanna get into it, but they wanna explore their entrepreneurial potential.
I think more than Shark Tank, they should watch conversations like these happening at your institute to get a real world picture about it. Because Shark Tank is also, it's just too dramatic.
It is too dramatic, and when you see that, you think, कल ही बना देंगे, इसमें क्या है? ये product आएगा तो मैं भी सोच सकती हूँ. But ऐसा real life में तो नहीं होता है. So reality check, like you said. I think
you're anyways getting real with people. So reality check तो आने ही वाला है.
This was the whole point of our podcast. Our whole team sat together and we were like, we need people to know the reality because we know it, but they don't, and they just wanna know more about it.
Okay.
So we thought let's अपना ही startup है इससे भी kind of. Yeah. So I think the last one for today we have storytelling is a one-time activity for startups, and once the story is established, it doesn't need to evolve or adapt.
No, this is of course a myth, because a story will only stay in a place for one day, because the world is moving so fast, everything is so fast paced, that your story might be replaced by another story. And that's why you see brands, they launch brand campaigns every month on every trending topic. Like for the moon launch also, different brands reacted to it in different ways. You should see how McDonald's, how Nike, how other brands have made their congratulatory note, even Swiggy for that matter. They have all made such nice brand campaigns, and it's important to stay relevant with each news that comes, with each day that comes, because as a consumer, you're seeing so many things, so many brands, that story is not going to remain on the top of your head. Like, I can tell you honestly, after I'm gone, this story of mine will also be gone from the heads of people here until the next speaker comes or until next day. So it's very important to have that consistency, and that's why we say that if you are consistent, you will be successful in whatever you're doing someday or the other. So I don't think so that once your story is out, you are done. Unless you're Modi, uska chai wala story is out and he's done, because he's at that position and stature. But for all of us, I think it's very important to reinvent and keep doing different things, keep bombarding people that, okay, I'm here, hello, see me, through that see me can be done through writing, through your work, through calls, through connections, whatever it could be. But yeah, you really need to be on the top of your game, because you're not the only one in the world. There are so many stories, so many people, and there are billions and trillions of people now that are wanting to just be so curious and learn more, that it's very difficult to be into their head and make them habituated to only one story that is of yours.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, like what you're saying now.
Yeah.
It does make
You ask
sense.
them now after 10 days how much they will remember of this conversation. You will get to know the answer.
I feel like at least a lot of them will remember, because they did a lot of research about you. When I was telling them about you only, they were telling me on KSS there.
Okay.
So I was like, अच्छा.
That means you haven't done enough research.
Like, हम करके आए research, अब बताओ मत अब लेकर आओ अंदर में.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you like to have something first?
No. People, if they have questions, I can just take it. It was the last question, right?
I do have some ending questions.
So you have it? Then ask me.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this unique. You have such a unique narrative style. This is definitely something that you've built on, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that you are
Yeah,
born
yeah.
with. You can't be just शुरू हो जाओ बस starting में लोग तुम्हें like करने लगेंगे, like you said. But now that this India is like so much, technology is huge. It's developing so fast, and we all know that AI is here.
Yeah.
We all know that machine learning is
Huh.
here. So do you think at some level AI automation could take your career away in a way?
No, if you let it take it away, then it will. I mean, AI is not coming at your home and saying that मैं सब कुछ ले लूँगा तुम्हारा, ऐसा तो नहीं है ना यार. It's not a burglar there who's coming into your house to rob everything. It's up to you how much of freedom are you giving to your lifestyle to be used by AI. Some people are just now relying on ChatGPT for their LinkedIn posts and all. And I'm like, okay. And people ask me that why don't you use it? You're so much more behind. AI has come. You're still writing by yourself. I'm like, yeah, that's my style. That is how I want to do. Because if I become relying on ChatGPT for my posts, my creativity will go. And what if it gets shut down? I will stop writing. That cannot happen, right? So, I mean, it's not right to be dependent on anyone for that matter, be it AI or anything else. So, I think that it won't take things away from you unless you want it to happen. But some people live happily with it, some don't. It's a choice that you make, and our life is nothing but a sum of choices that we make. Sitting here also, some people have made a choice to come, some people haven't. So, they get benefits from it either ways, by the choices they make. So yeah, I don't think so it will replace anything, but it's coming in for the benefits of some purposes. So it's important to recognize those benefits and not just say that, okay, this is very bad or this is very good. It's good to have a state of equilibrium and balance in your life. A lot of times as youngsters we like to have debates around this. Will ChatGPT work? What are the boon, bane? ये तो college, school में सिखाया होता है ना हमको debate करना. So we've become like that, but it's not right. I mean, you need to have a state of focus. I mean, I was hearing Zomato's founder interview, Dipinder Goyal. He was telling Shraddha of your story. Shraddha asked him about the, Ukraine war that was happening, Ukraine-Russia, and he's like, sorry, I don't know enough about it because it's not my area of focus. You ask me anything about Zomato, about the consumer tech food space, I'll tell you everything. But unfortunately, I'm not, updated with the news because that doesn't concern me. And I was like, wow. Some people will say कि क्या dumb आदमी है, इसको इतना भी नहीं पता है. But for him, it's everything, yeah. And we know how much of a big brand he's built today. And you can only do that with one focus that you have. So as students, we are taught that if you don't know everything that's happening in the world, you are dumb. But that's not true actually. You just need to know one thing, specialize yourself into it, create a micro monopoly for yourself, and only then will you stand out. Otherwise, it's just too easy to get lost into the world, and you have to tell yourself that, is this what I'm meant for? I have one life. Do I really want to do this, or do I want to do something different for myself?
Yeah, I mean, focus on one industry. If you know everything about that one industry, you don't need to know everything about the whole world.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to know. Kitna hi koi,
Yeah.
How can you keep up with so much news?
Yeah, in school also now everyone is specializing. Like from 7th, 8th grade itself, people are telling you that, okay, do you want to pursue a career in science? Only then study those subjects. Till 10th, we have been told to study every subject. And 8th में भी marks कम आता था, तो people would be like, क्या बकवास स्टूडेंट है. Both teachers and parents alike. And तभी से हमारा confidence down हो जाता है that we are not good enough. And I think that is changing now, thankfully. And we are all now that you all are in SYTY. You don't have that mindset, but let me tell you that your degree really won't define you. You have to go out and create a different mark for yourself, because every one of y'all are getting degrees, right? How are you unique from the other person? So you need to create that unique identity, be it through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through your other work, through your NGO volunteering or whatever. That's how you build your CV. And that's why we only see, unfortunately, very few Indians getting into Harvard, Columbia, other Ivy Leagues, because there they pay a lot of weightage on all these stuff. And not just what you have studied in your degree throughout. So I'm really happy that you're doing these sessions so that these guys can also get a perspective of what is outside this building, outside of the books and outside of the degree that you guys are studying for.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, by the way, because a lot of people actually approach, like this e-cell thing, we approach Akash sir, who's the dean of our college, IUQS, the startup founder. So we approach them कि e-cell चाहिए इनको. They need to understand कि degree से सब कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा. Yeah, so like that's why this initiative was there. I think so. One question that I would want to ask you is, looking back at your journey, what are you most proud of? Like, you've done so many achievements, we've seen it, so much you've done in your life, Abhi tak, at such a young age that too, like you genuinely.
I don't feel I'm young, by the way. I think I'm 40. A lot of people have told me that I look like 16, 17, but they tell me that I think mentally I think I'm 40.
But that maturity that has come to you at such a young age, like you, what are you most proud of? Like looking back at your full journey.
No, I think that being proud really makes someone settle down and they're just like, okay, ठीक है, ये achieve कर लिया है, बस. And I think being proud makes it reach that peak. It doesn't let you enjoy the thrill of going up the mountain, you know. You're proud when you reach the peak. So I don't think so I would want to be there ever until my 80s or 70s if I live that longer. Because if I just think that, okay, I've achieved so much, I will not do more. I will just be settled in. And I really follow this 1+ ka tagline that never settle. Yeah, so I don't think I have done enough. There's so much more to do, but I was never like this. I wouldn't speak a lot, but it all comes when you focus on yourself, when you see some success, when you see some failures also, because that builds a tough skin for you, and you're like, you become fearless, you know. Failures make you fearless. You're like, ठीक है, हो गया तो हो गया, it's fine. Failure is a part of your life. But if you don't expect it only to come, then I think you will live a very fearful life. कि shit, इससे ये करूँगी तो ये हो जाएगा, इससे वो हो जाएगा. So I think that is one quality that has really helped me get through. And I think it's the qualities of people that make them who they are, not their achievements or any past experiences. So I think these are the values that I hold very true to myself. And one thing that if you tell me that what's one thing that defines me, that's fearlessness. Because let me tell you a fun fact also, it's getting too serious a conversation. I love to gate crash events. Like recently I gate crashed into film fair that was happening at Geo Convention Center.
Oh.
And I was so sure that bodyguards will just catch me from behind. And thankfully it didn't happen. I called my friend, I'm like, just talk to him as an organizer that you're inside waiting for me and I'm gonna go. So of course film fair था तो वो माने नहीं, बाकी जगह मान जाते हैं. So he's like, नहीं हो सकता है मैडम, नहीं. मैंने बोला अरे कैसे बात कर रहे हो, सीनियर आदमी हो, उससे बात करो, आप कैसे फोन दे सकते हो. And then he's like, नहीं हो सकता है मैडम. I'm like, चलो हटो आप, कोई बात नहीं. And then I just walked in and thank God nobody really came behind me, and my sister was also along with me. She had next level confidence. She's like, क्या है, चले जाएंगे. I'm like, are you mad? How can this happen? And I think she gave me the confidence कि film fair तो पक्का ही जा सकते हैं. And then she was on her phone talking as if she's some VIP, and she walked in. And I was like, ठीक है अभी अकेले तो नहीं जा सकती मैं यहाँ पे, नहीं तो लगेगा stranger है. जो लोग जा रहे थे either they were actors or managers of the actors. So some actress was going with the long gown. तो उसका मैनेजर was holding the gown. So I'm like, मैं भी पकड़ ही लेती हूँ तो ही तो अंदर तक जाऊंगी, नहीं तो बीच में there were so many security checks and guards कि कौन हो तुम, ID बताओ. I'm like यही करके जाती हूँ तो अंदर तक पहुँच जाऊंगी, नहीं तो नहीं होगा. So yeah, that's what I did, and that's what happened. I keep doing this in different hotels and all whenever I'm bored. You know, life is all about experiences, and I think when you're open to such experimentation, to such failures, you know, that guy would have told me कि मैडम बाहर निकलो जाओ. तो अभी if I didn't have the courage to listen to that, I wouldn't go there. I thought in my mind कि बोला भी तो ठीक है ना, क्या हो गया. So, and I think that is the quality that really takes me to different places and lets me do things that I want to do. So yeah, that's what I am proud of. That's one quality of mine.
Fearlessness.
Yeah, and gate crashing, to be specific. You all should try. It's very redeeming, I must tell you. You will be like, ठीक है ये कर लिया, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं दुनिया में, you know. And it's important to do it once in your lifetime at least. It's a good experience to have.
Yeah. I don't think you need to say this. A lot of them are
Yeah.
actually
They will be gate crashing weddings for food. I know that.
Yeah.
Food के बाद भी निकलो तुम लोग थोड़ा सा. Experiences करो थोड़ा. Witness, it will be nicer.
Yeah. So I think lastly, I would want to ask you.
By the way, a lot of my guests on my podcast has also come through this. Like recently, I interviewed Sanjay Leela Bansali, CEO. She's a woman, and I didn't know that. I went into film fair, and the person who produced Gangubai Pen Studios, I told him that I would want to meet you. तो वहीं पे film fair की editor told me कि अब जाओ यहाँ से, क्या disturb कर रहे हो? So I'm like, excuse me, you can't talk to me like this. My sister was like, dude, you don't even have a ticket here. How are you speaking to her like this? And I'm like, it's क्या है उसमें यार? It's individual is more important than the ticket. But then I'm like, ठीक है, यहाँ पे मना किया, वो आगे चला गया. Then I went there. I'm like, he only called me then कि आपको मेरा नंबर चाहिए था ना, आप मेरे वाइफ से ले लो. So I'm like, okay, wow, this is some serendipity that's happening. Yeah. And then I got in touch with him. I met him at his office. Although he just talked to me for 2 minutes, and he's like, आपके क्वेश्चंस बहुत है, आप मेरी मार्केटिंग टीम से बात कर लो. एंड आई एम लाइक, ठीक है, इतनी दूर आई होगी तो खाली हाथ तो नहीं जा रही हूँ मैं. तो उसकी मार्केटिंग टीम से मैंने पूरी कुंडली निकाल ली कि कौन है अच्छे लोग जिसको मैं इंटरव्यू कर सकती हूँ, ये मेरा शो है, मैं ये करती हूँ. एंड देन शी गिव मी द रिकमेंडेशन टू रीच टू हर, बिकॉज रीचिंग टू संजय लीला बंसाली CEO is just next to impossible. They don't reply at all. They don't need to. They don't need publicity. But then because I met him at film fair, I approached him. He connected me to his marketing head. She connected me to her. That's how I got him. I got her on my show. So most of my guests that you see will have a story. And I think I'll do a session on this also, how I got each one of my guests, because that is itself in a story. You know, I haven't just cold emailed them and they have said yes to me. I've just put in some reckless efforts, and lot of hustle goes into getting it done. So that's the bottom line, you know. To get to anywhere, you have to do unusual things that society will tell you you're stupid to do that. My parents have told me that you're just stupid. What are you doing? I mean, घर पे बैठो, इधर उधर क्या घूमना है, you know. But I'm like, okay, करना है तो करना है. Yeah.
So just put yourself out there, no matter what anyone says. करना है तो करना.
Yeah, and don't follow anyone's journey. Like मैं ऐसा बोल रही तो जरूरी नहीं तुम लोग को भी यही करना है. Just know your journey, know your purpose, and then get to it. You'll figure it out.
So just figure it out.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have any as such is a specific format कि ऐसे ही figure out करना है?
Oh no, I'm very unorganized, unfortunately. I'm very random, very spontaneous. You ask me what I'm going to do today in the evening, I won't be able to tell you. I'll go out and I'll figure out abhi next क्या करना है. So I think that has worked with me, but it doesn't really work with a lot of people. So each to its own. But I'm not very planned. I do things as they come, as I see them.
Okay, so now that we are coming almost to the end of our podcast, I think we've received a lot of insights from you.
Yeah.
Like we said, get real.
They're also coming out of their hibernation of Anna. And like बहुत बैठ लिए हैं अभी, हमको भी जूस पीना है.
I mean, उनको classes में इतना बैठना पड़ता है. So they're just used to all of this.
I ask them now how much they enjoy classes. Nobody will tell you. I enjoy 100% of my class. I'm very attentive. Nobody will tell you that.
Oh God. But like, I wanted to ask you now that we are almost at the end of our podcast. Like, so we know all of this. Like, put yourself out there. ऐसे करना है and all that. But there are still a lot of people who are reluctant to just get into this world. They don't have an idea. They don't know what to do. They don't know business ये startup world क्या है. And उनको already डरा दिया गया बोल के कि वही झूठे पड़ेंगे. लेकिन और उन्हें पता है कि they have to be consistent and all. But what your most honest advice for someone who's reluctant to get into it but really wants to?
Yeah, I think talking to people really helps. It helped me because, like I told you, I didn't even plan to be on LinkedIn, but because I spoke to my friend and he inspired me. He's like, why can't you do it? You have so many things that you're good at, so why not put it to use? And then at the law firm also, I was very fortunate to have a good mentor who showed me the path, that these are the things that you can do with the network you've built. Because sometimes it's very difficult to recognize your own potential by yourself. Nobody will, people who achieve the highest level of, realization, only they can understand what they are good at and what's their purpose in life. So, अगर तुमको खुद का purpose पता चल गया मतलब भगवान मिल गए तुमको, it's that difficult to find out, so it's good that you give that freedom to people that they can tell you that okay, you're good at this can be your purpose, and that's the reason why we are studying, why we do jobs, because there is someone more senior with more experienced eye, more mature mindset who can tell you that this is how you can lead your way, this is what you're good at, this is what you can do more. And that's why it's so important to have people in your life who can guide you the right way, apart from the family, apart from the known people. It's good to have unknown people around you who can see different qualities and tell you about it. So that's how you really become fearless from being reluctant.
Yeah, I heard this line that the purpose of your life is finding the purpose of your life.
Yeah, correct.
So by the end of it, if you find that, I think you're pretty much like life fulfilled.
Yeah, I think purpose finding is like finding God, What is life without purpose? It's like you're just going around like headless chickens and you don't know what to do. So I think human life is very precious. I'm very much spiritual, so I'm saying this, that you don't get this very often. So when you have it, it's your duty to know what is your purpose, and how do you know that? It's up to you. You won't get to know it by yourself, that's 100% true. So go out there and speak to people. If you sit by yourself in a room with your laptop and AI, by the way, is not going to tell you, ChatGPT will not tell you if you put that question into that. So it's good to meet people, have real conversations like we are doing, and there is so much that can come out of it.
We rolled out a form and they wrote their questions. They came up to me कि ये पूछना, हम online attend करेंगे, हमें insights मिलेंगे.
Okay, great. Insights मिलना is one thing. Now, how do you put it into execution is another. I'd love to see your posts on LinkedIn now. Let's see how many of y'all do it.
They have so many ideas, I tell you. Like they come up with ये करते हैं, and I'm like, तुम देखो feasible है कि नहीं बार. So like I have to tell them थोड़ा सा कि take a step back, एक बार देखो थोड़ा market research करो, feasible है कि नहीं.
Yeah.
So we have a team of ऐसे incubators and our alumni, they have their own startups. So they come for sessions and teach them ऐसे workshops and all.
Yeah, that's good.
So incubators actually help them to build a startup.
Is there anyone who's planning a startup here?
There are 2 people planning a startup and they are talking to अभी teachers कि इसको आगे बढ़ाते हैं.
Oh, nice. What's their idea?
अभी idea तो there has been like a one one idea that has come up is like a flower thing. So they want to start like a delivery service, a lot like Zomato, but for flowers. But this
Okay.
won't have like a storage system since flowers you cannot store them for
Yeah.
longer time. So they want to do like they want to connect all the florists near you. So they'll just pick up from that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like delivery service.
There was a startup that came
Shark
with Shark
Tank.
Tank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the same one?
Same.
Really?
That was the same, but they had that preservation kind of
हाँ.
thing.
Mm.
But she's talking that they don't like the
हाँ.
they are planning कि नहीं होगा ना
नहीं,
preservation.
नहीं,
Shark
preservation
Tank पे जो आए थे they had that
Yeah, they had
preservation
it.
thing.
Yeah, so like this one girl came up to me. She had to. So she's new in Mumbai. So FI3 and she was new in Mumbai. So she came up to me कि अभी उसको अपने घर पे फ्लावर्स भिजवाने होते हैं. तो वहाँ पे she has to call up florist and उनका नंबर नहीं मिल रहा है. And Google पे ढूंढना ये सब चीज़ें बहुत मुश्किल है क्योंकि ऐसे छोटे छोटे फ्लोरिस्ट जो घर के पास रहते हैं ना उनका नंबर नहीं मिलता. So we want to make it very, you know, accessible to everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
और एकदम जैसे नीचे वाला जो फ्लोरिस्ट है ना उससे ही ला के देते हैं.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So
So
they're
they're,
planning on
they're
that.
still students?
Yeah, still students.
Okay, very good. You let me know if they need any help.
Definitely, we'll
Yeah.
need your help. I feel.
Cool.
Hmm. Yeah, so this is pretty much my team.
I'll
And
take the questions.
we can
I'm
take a
a
question.
very slow eater by the way, so I don't want to just take that time कि मैं आधी घंटे बाद खत्म करूँ. अभी से you can take it.
Okay, so who's gonna come up first? Just introduce yourself first and then the question.
I think तुमने इतने अच्छे पूछ लिए कि कुछ बचा नहीं है. But yeah, you were asking something.
Yeah, so I'm the vice president. And
Yeah.
So you spoke about brand laws and right, so where do you see it growing? Like, so you can talk about both separately.
Yeah.
Because in the women one is like more relatable.
Correct.
And so yeah, where do you see it
Yeah.
growing?
So you might have heard TEDx as a
Yes.
franchise everywhere in the globe, but now it's becoming too localized. I don't want to go that path also, but create a franchisee of why women in private equity across the globe. We also have a chapter here in New York who is studying at Columbia University, Columbia Business School. We have one in Africa for the African ecosystem. We have in London, that's what I'm going for. And then we have in India also for which the event is happening. So I want to create this franchise where we do events, meetups, and the revenue model is very simple. I mean, you get so many sponsorships for these kind of event. And Cartier, which is a very premium luxury watch brand and other accessory brand, they also have a Cartier Women Initiative. So we're planning to tie up with them for doing events in the US. So those are the kind of vision that we have, you know, that how do we make it a global phenomenon for women to come together and, you know, even talk about their stories with Vibe as a logo behind the stage, like how you have in TEDx. So yeah, that's the vision. And with Radically Yours, it's very simple, like how investment bank connects different funds with different businesses. So that's what we're planning to do in our own ways for early stage, underserved customers, women being one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that answers the question. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Saksham Maru
Hi.
and second year. My question was, you have you have done podcasts with many of the entrepreneurs and CEOs. So you would have heard many things from them, and many things would have come to your insight also. I wanted to know some of the things that he shocked you about the entrepreneurship market when you first joined.
Yeah, it's a good question actually. There are so many things that I have to pick and choose some of them. But I think one shocking thing that they heard from me is that there is something called LinkedIn ghostwriting also that exists, which I used to do in my college. I used to write for people on LinkedIn and they were like, ऐसा भी कोई चीज़ होता है क्या? हमको पता ही नहीं था. So that was from my side to them. From them to me, I think I was very shocked when one of the CEO of Moelis, it's an investment bank, she told me that she would be told as an analyst in those years to get pizzas and coffees for the client and not even sit in the client meeting. And she was told to label the chair numbers कि ये लगा दो कि ये यहाँ पे ये बैठेगा. And it was only told to her because she was a woman. A man of her same age, same caliber, he was told to sit into a meeting with the client and she was told to get a coffee and water bottles. So So that was very shocking to me. I was like, ye bhi hota tha kya? It's so bad. And she was like, she did it because she wanted to know that what does it really take for her to get recognized and to become a CEO and to get at a position where people actually value her. So she kept at it, and now she is just leading through. Manisha Girotra is her name. If you Google her, you'll see a nice Google information on her coming. That was one thing that really shocked me. I was like, my God.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else has any questions?
Hi, I'm Nuga. As she said, I'm the head of events at ECLI US. So my question is a little dark, but the thing is,
Thanks for the disclaimer.
so I've heard you've been into mergers and acquisitions, am I right?
Yeah.
So as a middleman, it, like the thing with acquisition accounting is there are a lot of shenanigans that are possible, right? So like on the technical side, you increase the operating inflows and
Yeah.
decrease the investing inflows.
Mhm.
There are a lot of outflows, right? So that basically inflates your numbers.
Mm.
How often is it that you come up with these things, and how do you tackle these loopholes, or you support these few loopholes and try to get those companies through with these?
Yeah, no, we actually don't do these Excel sheet work as you're saying, but we are connected with bankers who do this, and they tell us that they're not really supporting all this. They used to do it before, but because the market has changed, investors have become very cautionary. They check everything. They will invest into your company as if they are the co-founders, and they'll see through everything. So even if one number is forged from this place to that place, they won't take it. And founders are only receiving funding when everything is right. So I think doing this is not possible in today's time, but it really happened at a big scale early on. But I don't think so it's happening right now. And even if it's happening, we see how they're failing. Like Go Mechanic was a classic example of what happened with them. And I spoke to an investor just about day before. They were debt investors into that company, and they launched a fire sale. Like they sold the company off to someone. They made the money out of it, but the equity guys, they couldn't, because in the liquidation preference, the debt providers are given money first. So the equity guys was left with zero money because they thought कि चलेगा थोड़ा बहुत करेंगे तो, but चलेगा देख लिया क्या हो गया, the company collapsed.
So yeah, I read a lot about this, and the thing is, people keep acquiring companies in
Yeah.
order to keep those operating cash flows.
Yeah.
But then,
Like Byju's is a classic example of it, and we know where it's going. Everybody wants to investigate into it, and it's hardly a matter of time that you'll get to hear that it's shut its shop.
It has
Yeah.
been pretty trending recently.
Yeah.
Also news.
I have never seen an investor resign from being on the board of a company, and that's happened with Baiju. And I spoke to one of the investors who were on the board, IFC in Baiju. I told them, how are you handling with all of this as an investor? He's like, I just go and strongly tell them to handle their PR. What else can we do? Internally we can manage, but the external reaction, we need to handle it, because if we want to take the company to IPO, the public perception needs to be positive. And if you can't handle that, then sorry, we are done there. So they just say that manage your PR, and it's very tough, for investors also when they invest into companies like this and all this happens. So yeah, that's what we also talk about on the show, but they don't reveal it. Show पे फिर off record बोलते हैं मुझे, and then I tell you here off record. I hope this will be edited. Yeah.
They were generally, I saw your podcast also, you were telling us how you write like crisp information, like you take up news and you write it in a very crisp
Yeah.
format so people can understand that.
Ah.
So was there any story that remains with you still? Is there any
Yeah.
like very impactful story, the most impactful?
Yeah, it was on the founder of Nirma. When I read that he launched the brand after the premature death of his daughter, I was very stunned. I always thought that the lady that you see on the packets of Nirma, she is a cartoon character like Parle-G has. But I didn't know that that girl has a story behind. And he launched Nirma with that girl because he wanted her daughter to remain alive always, and for people to recognize her, because he had high ambitions for her and she died at a very young age. So how would he do it? He just launched this detergent brand in Ahmedabad, and he sold it with the daughter's image in an animated form on every packet, so that she would be remembered by the world and he would never leave any connection with his daughter. So yeah, that was a story that stays with me a lot, and it was one of the posts that went viral and still remains to be the highest liked post of mine.
Oh my god, we didn't know that.
Yeah, you can check it out.
Yeah,
See it.
definitely. There's so many posts, we'll have to go through all of
This
it.
one you should definitely read.
Definitely. I mean, this just reminded me of this thing. Like, it's such an unfortunate
Yeah.
event, but the person, the father, has seen this in such a good way. It reminds me of that line I read about way back. It was like the whole, like, everything is basically your perception.
Yeah.
How you see it.
Mm.
It's the whole thing. Whatever is happening in your life, it's just your perception,
Yeah.
your perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, your perspective is the only thing that matters most. You know, people will say, you know, look, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना.
हाँ.
So, like, I think that just reminded me what you just said,
Yeah.
of this thing, that line I heard.
You all are asking good questions after the podcast is over, हाँ? उसके पहले तो हम like wow रे ऐसा भी सोचते हैं लोग in the questions.
Yeah, I mean, these are very new people, very new now. So, anyone else? Any questions?
They're done for the day. It's Saturday. Give them a break.
Okay. So I think we are almost by the end of our podcast, and I think we had a great time. All of us were. I think we answered all of their questions, most of their questions at least. So
Question पूछे कितने लोग ने?
मैंने पूछे ना उनके. What did you
आधे तो
पूछ के
online है
सारे?
बेचारे उनको पूछो वहाँ पे.
Yeah, I think we asked a lot of questions, and I think we were able to answer most of these. So let us know in the comments if you guys have any questions, or if you guys think this was an insightful session for you all.
From
And-
most insightful to you jump to an insightful session.
The an insightful
Also because
session.
this is the first one, right?
Yeah.
You told me. Yeah, I hope till the 100th one you say most insightful. Then it'll be good.
I'm hoping we'll invite you back once more. I'm hoping they'll say we need one more.
I'm
once
hoping
more.
people will have a good understanding of LinkedIn by then.
Yeah, because they need it. Second,
Yeah,
third.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
guys need to be active, huh? I will follow each one of you. I will take your profiles from her. I'll keep a check on you. कितना कर रहे हो?
They'll be on their toes now. Okay, I think, yeah, so let us know in the comments below, and we'll be back with the next one. Thanks for listening.